going on, you loyal listeners? Thank you for tuning in to the L Squared Podcast. I'm your host here, Luke Larson, and joining me today is my lovely and loquacious special guest, as per the usual, old legs himself, Jordan Isis.
What's up?
How you been, man?
I'm good,
It's
dude.
good to see you. I feel like
Yeah.
it's been a little bit.
Yeah,
Been a
I
half
mean,
sec.
I'm like the Blake Bortles of this podcast. You just can't get rid of me.
You only
We've been searching
so hard.
for months.
And
We might be coming up on a year now
yeah,
to replace me, but I'm not going anywhere.
no, you're just never bad enough to. You're just never consistently bad enough to replace.
Yeah, they're.
And we are
There
paying
you
you a lot of money. I want that on the record. We're giving you way too much, I think.
I was a high draft pick.
Yeah.
A lot of expectations.
And you sat out your whole.
I want
training
to point
camp.
out, I'm a great fantasy quarterback.
Okay.
You put me in garbage time, down 20.
You'll
I
put
get
up a
you.
TD.
I get you. 140 and 2 TDs and a pick to end the game.
Yeah.
There
Well,
you
that sounds good to me.
go. There you go.
That's why we give you the big bucks.
Yes.
And insert segue here.
What are we talking about today?
Well, we have a couple things on deck here. We have seen a movie recently that we could jump into.
Ooh. What movie
And
is
then
that?
Blade Runner.
Oh,
Yeah.
working on your Denis Villeneuve
Yeah.
accent?
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
I
That's
hope
how
you
he says.
enjoy it in my
My
movie.
movie is a Bloody Runner. Yeah, and then we're getting to the end of October. Best month of the year. Best holiday, in my humble opinion. All Hallows Eve. I got my big annual Halloween party coming up this Saturday.
Ooh, wow.
I'm super psyched.
What?
Open invite.
Listeners are invited.
All listeners invited.
Come
on
out. You
in.
want to meet us?
We'll sign shirts. We'll sign our records.
It's going to be super fun.
Whatever you want.
Maybe
It's
we'll
gonna
have a
be-
live pod.
Yeah, we could just the whole party.
Yeah, just that have to be quiet. They get
Right. I
free
want them to
come,
have a good time,
listen,
but also
Q&A.
yeah,
You
Q&A.
got a question about a movie? Be like, hey, is this movie good? And I'll be like, yes,
Yes.
no.
No.
Next question.
Yeah, is this worth my time? No. Next question. And yeah, we'll just have to do our best to describe the costumes people are wearing, because
That's-
obviously. I don't know if you know this,
Right.
listener, but you can
This is
actually
a-
see what
yeah.
we look like.
This is audio only.
Right. There's no video attached.
Right.
Just listening waves. Just listen waves.
There you go.
But do you want to jump into some Blade Runner?
Yeah.
Where do you want to start? How about this? I'll start with how do you feel about, I already know the answer to this, but I don't think our listeners do. How do you feel about the OG Blade Runner from 1982, Ridley Scott, Harry Ford's? What are your thoughts on it?
One of my personal favorites.
Yeah.
I like it more than I think your average millennial does. It's a slow burn.
We're not average millennials, are we? I'd say we're a little above.
You're a touch above the Mendoza line.
You son of a bitch.
Me, on the other hand,
You are
I'm,
you are extremely old. I mean,
yeah.
look at those legs.
I could, I really, can you really put me in a generation? I float between all three of them. I'm like the Jaden Smith of
XYZ.
generation. I'm
XYZ.
gender fluent. I'm generation fluent. Some days I'm Generation X. Some days I'm millennial. Some days I'm that other generation before
Whatever it
millennials.
was, yeah.
Yeah.
Was it the baby boom?
That's going back.
Look, we made an agreement we were never going to bring up Jaden Smith on this podcast.
Oh.
And you just broke that.
Come on. I'm
So-
quietly buying Jaden Smith stock.
Why?
Maybe not as an actor.
I don't even
but
think there's
as
been a
like an
blip on it for like
interesting-
2 years.
As an interesting person, I'm buying up some Jaden Smith
I don't
stock.
know, I think it's all an act.
Well,
yeah.
not be wrong.
Okay. So, unlike
Okay.
Jaden Smith, Blade Runner is...
Blade Runner, the original. Yeah, I suggest, if you're a fan of movies, if you're a fan of the, just the sci-fi genre as a whole, to go out and look and check it out. It's got some pretty iconic moments.
Yeah.
But it's not like the big, like, boom, boom, bam, like, kind of, like, set pieces, I would say. I guess you could say, like, Tears in Rain, that's, a set piece. But it's not it's not like,
it's almost the only one, and it's not even
right,
that long.
It's not like a fist fight, where, Harrison Ford is just duking it out with Roy Batty. But,
it's definitely... For people who haven't ever seen it, it is a pillar of the sci-fi classics.
Yeah, definitely.
It's definitely one of them.
It's, all the themes from Blade Runner are just, they're just littered throughout pretty much anything, in the genre. Do cyborgs have a soul? Do they dream of electric sheep?
We don't know.
Are they human?
And
yes,
the fun part,
okay.
The fun part is they don't answer any of the questions, which is honestly the best because they ask
because they're pretty unanswerable, I guess. And
which takes guts to ask them in a film, major motion picture,
right? It's interesting. Go in, watch it. There's multiple endings. This is like very near. Pretty close to my falling out with Ridley Scott. I can't remember like when. Wow. I don't know. Like
what's
alive, next?
So.
Like Alien, I guess.
Alien was first.
Alien, Blade Runner.
Yeah, because Alien was 79, then Blade Runner was 82, and then what was next?
Because James Cameron is Alien 2.
Yeah.
And then I'm just out. and
never
then from
back
there on
in.
out, he just like kept fucking with the ending, and
what cut? I always say the final cut is like the best.
It really does. See, that's kind of it's frustrating because he takes away from like some of the more I think important themes of the movie.
Yeah.
With just this obsession with is Deckard a replicant? Like, that's really like...
Which he's like the one who won't ever let that go.
Right. It's not really the point of the movie.
No.
The point of the movie is that, these cyborgs who humans created are just as much human as the humans. And that's like, their experiences, are genuine, and that's kind of... That's what you should take away from the movie.
Like, what makes a human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I go out. I suggest it. There's some stuff from the original that pops up in the sequel, but I wouldn't say that the it's hard to even call it a sequel.
Yeah, it's not really. You don't even really need to see the first one to get it, but I would definitely recommend it for people. And I'm just looking at his IMDb. It's like Alien, Blade Runner, Legend, which is awful. And then like Thelma and Louise, which I forgot that he fucking directed. G.I. Jane. And then Gladiator really is the next like good one. But where I sit with the original Blade Runner is just that it's like... Blade Runner is like the definition of like a flawed masterpiece to me. Like whenever anyone says that about a movie, I think of Blade Runner because it is a masterpiece, but it's not like a traditionally good movie. It's their themes of noir are very like prevalent, which is great, and they're long, and the set and the design of it is still beautiful, and it was really revolutionary at the time. But
it really has aged well.
It has,
surprisingly.
Yeah, yeah it really has, because even now, like, you look at it and it's like, wow, that would look good for like a movie today.
And it's to add to that, like the neo noir, the cyberpunk, like that's all comes from this.
Blade Runner. Yeah.
Obviously, like those ideas had been maybe put on like paper, but we hadn't seen
the mainstream.
That. Yeah, and like anyone you ask, our maybe my generation again.
Whatever.
We were like, wow, we've never seen anything like this in theaters.
Yeah. Back in 1982 when you were hitting up movie theaters every weekend.
Right.
Yeah, it's one where like I think for a lot of people, I'll just say that I think for a lot of people, Blade Runner the original is overrated because they've probably heard all the hype about it, and they've heard from their generations before and everybody that it's this great movie and that it's amazing, and then they go into it and they don't realize it's kind of a challenging watch. It asks a lot of you as an audience member, which you and I appreciate, but not a lot of people do. We call those the plebs of the world.
Yeah.
And they'll just watch and be like, yeah, it looked cool, but where the fuck was all the fucking action, bro?
The other thing, big misconception in this movie,
Mm-hmm.
Harrison Ford, not the main character.
Oh, twist.
The main character and the best performance, like by far, is Rutger Hauer as Roy Batty.
Hamming it up.
He comes
to
in
the moon and back.
He comes. I don't even know when, because it's probably like 15 to 20 minutes when he comes into the movie.
Yeah, probably.
But he comes in throwing gas.
Yeah.
And every one of his lines are great.
Yeah.
And without him and without that performance, like, I don't know where this sits, but like,
That's an interesting point.
That's what I've always taken away. He has like the most memorable, obviously, the Tears and Rain speech, meeting your maker.
Yeah.
Really kind of, it's
great.
That stuff is great.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. The thing that I don't love about it is just that the love story feels a little bit rushed.
The love story hasn't aged well.
No, it's a little bit like he's kind of just forcing himself. It's a little bit forceful. The whole time.
It's a little bit like Rocky 1 with
that's not good.
There's some like late 70s, early 80s stuff that it's like ooh.
Yeah, and there's another like a movie I watch every Halloween. Speaking of Halloween, is The Wolfman from 1941. I just bought a Steelbook came out and it's great. But the main part of that doesn't hold up is the romance. It's very creepy. It's like stalkery and he's kind of just harasses her the whole time. And when you watch that, you're just kind of like, I don't want to see this. This is fast forward through this part.
We've moved past this as society. Yeah. This is
it's not uncomfortable now.
For us, for you millennials, you text somebody, and if they don't text you back, that's it.
That's it.
And you're not friends.
You can't just harass them. But people do. I guess.
No, it's a different time.
Yeah. Wow. It's just a different time. Owen Wilson's here in the studio with us. All right. Thanks for stopping by, Owen. We'll see you later, buddy. He's gone. But now going into this movie, Denis Villeneuve was announced as the director. He's my favorite working director. We said he's must-watch TV. He's been on a hot streak. In my book, pretty much all 10 out of 10s, pretty much for all his movies. And we were super pumped. We went to see it. It was probably my most anticipated of the year.
I agree.
And I've only seen it the one time, which was you, but I want to see it again. And thoughts coming out of it, I'll start. I was pleasantly surprised at how much I didn't immediately love it coming out of it, because I was kind of huh. But then it's so much thematically similar to the original Blade Runner that it asks all these new big ideas, not the same ones necessarily, but even bigger ones, and it's the pacing is very similar, and it's fucking just gorgeous. One of the most beautiful movies I've ever seen. And as it sat with me, I'm like, wow, that was a masterpiece. And I don't know, what were your initial thoughts coming out of it?
To follow up on what you were just saying there, my bullet points, kind of things I loved about this movie is like you said, it was gorgeous. This was Roger Deakins, like his Michael Jordan like sick game,
Mm-hmm.
like flu game,
Yeah.
basically. Like
where he just shrugs to the
Yeah.
audience. He's like, nah.
yeah, batting 1,000, like dropping 45 in the Garden,
He's just
like,
looks at the audience and shrugs. He's
Literally,
like,
just
nah,
this is a.
this is what I do.
This
This is what we
basically
play for.
this is the Oscar for cinematography. It's over.
It has to be. I'm gonna be so pissed if he doesn't get it. Like,
There's no
question.
and I don't think there's anything coming out that's gonna be like this movie this year kind of lacks like a La La Land. Like I don't think
Right.
we're gonna get like that
One that's
universally like
steal all the
people that's
Oscars.
gonna except for Best Picture.
Yeah. Other than that, that was stolen from La La Land. Almost.
Yeah. So yeah, Roger Deakins, he's the cinematographer.
Best working cinematographer,
I think so.
probably.
It's
hard to compare.
Yeah,
I guess,
yeah,
but
and that's so for I guess people like that probably more so than anything like separates kind of your casual moviegoers. So like even for like guys like us, like cinematography sometimes like goes by like I don't actually catch like who was doing it, but
yeah.
like,
Unless like it's really surprising, and then you're like, who did that?
yeah, but like so Roger Deakins he's done like a bunch of work with like the Coen brothers.
Mm-hmm.
He's worked with Denis a couple times. I think he did some work on like Skyfall. Like
Yep.
he just
he did The Village for Shyamalan.
Oh, yeah.
It looked
Yep.
great.
Yeah, and like almost every, and I've seen it 3 times now, Blade Runner, and
Wow.
every single shot there's either like a different color palette or like
Mm-hmm.
there's like lighting. This movie could be like I know a lot of people are gonna like complain that it's too long, and it could be like 30 minutes shorter.
Yeah, it is
but
very long.
I don't see how you could, how you can't appreciate like, just like the long walk down a corridor when you have like, like the glowing like water, like shadow lights like up on top, like just little tiny things like that. And it's just like mesmerizing. And that was like probably one of the biggest things. And for a movie where you could get like, it could start to look all kind of like the same, like that kind of foggy,
Yeah. Yeah, literally just fog and neon lights.
Yeah, it could have fallen into that, but there was
Yeah.
so much more.
Yeah, there really was.
There was just vastly different, locations.
And I think we talked about this before on the pod a couple times, but like when you see like this cinematography and this is one where you're like, oh, I can't do that. You know?
Yep.
Like you're like, wow, he is so much better. Like,
right.
it almost makes you like, if you want to get into film, you see his cinematography and you're like, well, I'll never be that good.
Yep.
Like it's ridiculous.
Because there's almost like 4 different just completely original like palettes. You have like the LA, kind of standard Blade Runner, what we come to accustom, like the Las Vegas kind of thing where Deckard is hanging out. You have
a lot of gold and orange.
You have San Diego, which is a fucking dump.
Yeah. So just modern
they
day.
They just made it a dump.
So just modern day San Diego.
Yeah, it was like, wow. I was like sitting there thinking, I'm like, God dang, maybe the Chargers were right to move. Like,
they saw it coming. They do.
Yeah, son of a bitch.
Yeah, and then like the orphanage is like dark and damp and kind of brown and it's really grimy. Yeah, it does definitely like it. It reminded me of
all different weather.
Right.
It's like
it wasn't
raining. It's like sleeting. It's like it's ashing. It's snowing. Like
a lot of stuff going on. It reminded me of Mad Max Fury Road, just because there's all those huge wides and they're very beautiful. But this cinematography is way more like does everything great and does a lot. It's a lot more complex. And yeah, that alone, like you and I said on the previous pod before we saw it, we're like, I think we both said we're like, as long as it's like slow paced, noir themes, looks great. We're gonna be happy. And it was like so much more than that. But it just sucks because it's bombing big time. You know, it's lost a lot of money. And like I know it had a huge budget of like 170 mil, almost 200 mil, and it's not doing good. But the original Blade Runner tanked too, though. You know, so like it's not like, and they could have just made a sequel where it was like, if they would have like cut this movie in half and just sped up the pace and just did a bunch of big action scenes, it would have made a bunch of money, but it wouldn't have been a Blade Runner movie.
Yeah.
Which is probably my favorite part of it, is because it really feels like Denis took a back seat like to his ego. You know, he could have had a big ego, but his movies don't. He's not showing off. You know, like this was so much like the original. Okay, so far, domestic total 74 mil, production budget according to Box Office Mojo was 150. So you'd want to make at least your budget back the first weekend, especially with a wide release. So worldwide, it's made almost 200 mil, and production budget was 150. So it's made that, but that doesn't come into, you know, that doesn't count marketing and all that other stuff. So
well, you know who I blame?
Me.
Yeah, the guy sitting next to me who's only seen it once.
That's true. And I loved it. I wanted to see it again, but I haven't. But even opening night, like our theater, there was probably 10 people in there.
Yeah.
You know, there was not that many people.
In a culture that's like kind of wrapped up quite a bit in nostalgia, like I think we're at a phase right now where like nostalgia like really sells, and obviously like you know, Stupid Sewer Clown is like a good example of that. That wasn't even a good movie, but you know, it like, you know, crushed.
Yeah, you know,
and
I'm gonna pin on that because I have a point about that. So keep going.
Yeah, and maybe we can talk about that later with Halloween movies and whatnot.
Oh sure.
But,
look at you. Look at us.
Yeah.
Have we done this before, guys?
Just playing off each other.
Comment down below.
Pick and roll.
This is us
The
shrugging.
offense is just flowing.
This is our flu game. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, like I guess I don't really care because I got the movie that I wanted.
Yeah.
So
I do.
Everyone else can suck it.
I did think that coming out of it too. I was like, this is like made for Jurdo.
Yeah.
This is like an old legs classic.
Yeah, these are like movies that I typically see just on like a, you know, like half the budget kind of.
And you probably,
scale.
hopefully, you won't forget about it. You know.
Yeah.
That's
you know.
the main test that movie's gonna pass. Is old legs gonna forget about it?
I'm not gonna forget about it because there's one of the most innovative and stunning freeways that I think I've ever seen in cinema. That was one of my other points. E-girls.
Whoa.
E-girls are coming, and they look awesome.
Glad you brought that up, because I already kind of forgot about that. That was trippy shit. And it kept going so drawn out. It was like, whoa. What
I think it sped up the second time I saw it. I was like, oh gosh, like
you were like, I want more.
I kind of did. Yeah.
It was so odd. I mean, it was good.
I mean, this is like kind of the natural progression from like we go from, you know, Joaquin Phoenix, you know, with his cell phone to now here. And
holograms.
I'm all for it.
Dude.
You know, if
you want that right now.
I'm telling you, you're going to see that scene, and every guy in the theater, they're going to start doing the math. And like, okay, 2049, I'll be doing it. I'll be like 64 years old. I'm like, I'm still in the game. Here we go.
Yeah, you're just retiring, hopefully.
Yeah.
And you're like sitting on that retirement money.
Give me my pre-order.
Instead of buying a new car.
Take my money.
Put that, yeah.
Take my money.
Put it down right now. Let's get you on a 30-year
program. I'll write a
program.
check out to Jared Leto right now. How much you want?
He'll take it all.
How about, okay. So, E-girls were positive for me.
Is that on your bullet points?
Yep.
E-girls.
I'll give you, here's a question for you.
Okay. I am ready.
Jared Leto, go.
That wasn't a question.
Jared Leto?
Okay. Good question. Wasn't in the movie enough to ruin it. That was our main thing. We were afraid he was going to ruin it.
But he was super close.
He was close. Denis knew the edge. He knew how much Leto to put in there. Because it was a little bit like, but
those were the hardest, like, probably scenes to sit through again.
And in another movie, you know, Jared Leto probably would have had more to do. And there's a specific part at the end, we won't really spoil it, but where they're going to the place. In another studio's hands, I'm sure they wanted them to go to that place and then have a big final action scene at that place. But it didn't really turn out that way, which was good. Because that would have meant more Leto, and we didn't want that.
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine? That'd be like Dragon Ball Z times like One Piece as far as like exposition.
Yeah. Just the eyes bugging out. Oh.
Yeah, that'd be at least like 25 minutes of monologue for like a 2-minute hand-to-hand.
For sure.
With a blind
when they
dude.
were going to the thing at the end, it did remind me of the straight to the TV movie original DBZ, Bardock.
Okay.
Goku's Poppy, his father.
I got you.
Like when he's going to get shout out
Bardock.
I own it on Blu-ray actually. It's a double feature between Bardock and Legend of Trunks. But it's like when Bardock's going to fight Frieza and he's just like fighting off those hordes of dudes when they're all like piling on him and then blowing up and he keeps going. That's kind of what it felt like, but without dudes and
all right.
You know, almost the exact opposite.
I like the DBZ reference.
Yeah,
I respect it.
I can go deep on that.
I'll go to Kami's house if we need to go there.
Yeah, I'll train. We'll go.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm with you. I thought Jared Leto was not enough to ruin it, but still no idea what the fuck he's talking about.
The new every revolution is built on the destruction of a previous.
He
one.
bugs me more and more with like everything he's in, and it's not even just like his performance, but it's like we've talked about this before, like the thing that'll come out like a week before the movie, you know, like the thing where he put in these contacts that made him blind, and he didn't see anyone that he worked with the entire time, and you know, he probably didn't read the script. He's probably just ad-libbing the whole time. Like, you know, he's so overbearing. Him and, I can't think of his name now.
I don't know.
Director of Mother.
Oh, Darren Aronofsky.
Him and Darren Aronofsky
are very.
They need to like set up like a trilogy and
God.
You know.
And what sucks is that
them playing off their pretentiousness. Like they should make a movie about being pretentious and overbearing.
I don't know.
Yeah,
call it the greatest movie ever made. So I pulled this picture up to make you uncomfortable. I don't know if that worked or not.
That's like a 4 for Jared Leto.
That's him. That's
like the tip of the iceberg. It's him at a dinner party.
Yeah, and it sucks is like he's the Oscar winning Jared Leto. Yeah. He owns an Oscar.
And I've liked Jared Leto in the past. It's just like I think I'm over it. Like I think he works better in a non-pre-internet age. Like these stories just drive me nuts.
Yeah. Well, final thoughts. Go see Blade Runner.
Okay.
It's worth your time. You know, I think it'd be a cool double feature. See the OG, see the final cut, and then go see it in theaters. This is one where you'll want to see it on the big screen because those huge shots that look beautiful, you're gonna want to see it. It'll be worth the money. But here's time for a transition. That's our spooky music. Oh. We're about to get spooky in here.
Wow, spooky.
Mm-hmm. You want to hear it again? Ooh. Wow. Good echo on that. So, obviously Halloween's coming up, and as I prefaced before, Halloween has always been my favorite holiday. When I was a kid, for some reason in my head, I was like, when I become an adult, I want to host a cool Halloween party. And I have. I've made that dream come true, as Shia told me to, the last this will be my 3rd annual Halloween party, and the last 2 have been great. I have a good time, decorate the place, and it's just a fun time. It's always been my favorite holiday. I try and hit up a bunch of awesome movies to get in that good fall feeling. Luckily, we live in a place where the fall, the leaves change and the weather changes, so you really get in the mood. Are there specific movies that you watch every year that get you in the Halloween spirit?
Yes and no. I'm always trying to kind of like see something new, and usually like the movie that like comes out at Halloween like isn't very good, so I usually don't see that. But
right, like Saw or
yeah, and I'm sure there's like one of those coming out.
I think it's called Jigsaw, instead of Saw.
I didn't even.
But I don't know.
Okay,
we'll check. You keep talking.
Well, yeah, we don't need to check, but
okay.
I'm not gonna see it.
We're not gonna see it.
It could come out. It couldn't come out.
Yeah,
I could care less. Yeah. So, Halloween is the OG for me. Michael Myers has always kind of been my favorite slasher.
Great theme music. Similar, I'd say our theme music is similar to the Halloween theme.
Yeah, definitely. Ours is probably like a little more iconic, but
right. I think it's a little more well known.
Yeah, we're like, wait, is that the L Squared podcast music?
We're like, yeah, wait, just give me what was that?
Yeah, Halloween definitely ranks up there pretty high. I'm not crazy about this. Might be a hot take, but
do we have hot take music? That's the best.
Oh yeah, it's like shots fired.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm not crazy about the Nightmare on Elm Street movies.
Bum bum bum.
I think the original's okay, and then after that, like, they're just the most insane things ever.
Yeah, hot take. I agree with you.
So, okay, yeah, maybe that's not much of a hot take.
Yeah. Well, the original's good, but it's dated. It's very dated.
It's rough.
Like, I'd say it's even more dated than Halloween, and Halloween's much older.
I think Halloween, like, for what it was trying to do, is like has aged really well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just bare bones slasher. It made the slasher movies a genre. And it works. Like it's kind of one of those things. Like when I watched the Bourne trilogy for the first time, you were like, "Hey, heads up! Like, don't blame this movie for a bunch of movies ripping it off after it, like The Matrix too. Like this one, you can definitely see where movies just ripped it off. But this is just bare bones. It's like a timeless movie that
Yeah, definitely. That's like my classic. Trying to think, what other movies do I like?
Do you like the Rob Zombie Halloween remake?
I don't. No one does. I don't even acknowledge.
It's so bad.
Did you? I've heard this. It was. Gosh, I can't think of the. There's a director. It's the Blumhouse guy that does all the horror movies. So that studio. And someone else, and Seth Rogen and John Carpenter are all working on like a Halloween thing.
And Jamie Lee Curtis signed on.
So I'm pretty excited about that.
The problem is John Carpenter has also made a lot of shit over the years too. Has he? Do you want to go through his repertoire?
I mean, if you're gonna shit on Escape from New York, I'll walk off this podcast right now.
Well,
Escape from New York.
I'll just wait
incredible movie.
I'll just wait till The Rock remakes
Airplane Pitch. New York. Max Penitentiary Jail.
They gotta get out.
Who do you send? How's that not a great movie? Of course it is.
It is, yeah. I don't have a comeback.
Of course it is.
Okay, yeah. The Halloween remake is awful. Please don't ever watch it. Anyone? I watched the first 2 minutes and was like, "This is trash."
How about you? What do you said? So you mentioned Wolfman earlier.
Yep, the Wolfman is one that I watch every Halloween. For some reason, I don't know if it was like, it might have honestly been like when I saw The Sandlot for the first time, which sounds weird, but like there's that when they're chasing the Mastiff. Through the movie theater, the Wolfman is playing, and for some reason when I saw that I was like, oh, that looks kind of interesting, like as a kid. And like So, and then like seeing,
So that was your first exposure.
yeah, I think it was, and then I just watched it and like really loved it. I don't know what it's just, it is slow, but like I think it holds up really well. The set pieces in it are like old Hollywood, but it still looks great. Definitely the use of fog machines, but like that outdoor setting for that movie is like looks really good, and the creature transformations are actually really solid too. And I think what holds up the most is like the explanation for what's going on, like because it's this guy Larry Talbot comes back. His father owns this castle in England, so he comes back because he was living in the States or whatever. And then he saves this guy, gets bit by a wolf, and then he like thinks he's turning into a wolf at night. And the father the whole time is like, "Look, I'm a man of science. Like the human brain is something we don't understand. Like this is probably all in your head." And then they even bring up like lycanthropy in the movie, and it's like it's just cool because that's like normal shit. They don't like go over and it's not that he's not believing him. He's like concerned that he's like sick and stuff. I don't know. It's just like for me, it just really holds up and it puts me in that mood. One I saw this year that I was like, this could be like my new one that I'll watch every year. It's Trick or Treat from 2009. I think I told you about it.
Okay.
It's one that I'd heard about, but I'd never actually seen, so I bought it and watched it. It was really good. It was super Halloween-y, which is cool. It's like, it's not just like a horror movie, it's just like Halloween right away. It's kind of like, it's like a horror anthology, like there's kind of interlocking segments that were filmed by different directors that all kind of meet up sort of, and it was very well done.
So kind of like that VHS movie?
Right, except more coherent than that.
Okay.
But I did rewatch VHS recently, and it was like, there's some really spooky stuff in there. I mean,
they're hit or miss,
yeah.
But like the hits are like...
really good.
Oh.
Yeah. Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was one that I saw this year. Otherwise, like, I do definitely go back to that nostalgia well, like fucking Halloween Town, Halloween Town 2, Calabar's Revenge.
Yeah.
After that, I could give a shit. Hocus Pocus, I gotta watch every year. That shit's the bomb.
The live-action Scooby-Doo movie?
Wrong. Hard pass on that. Hard pass on that. Yeah, otherwise, like, are there any other ones? Oh, this year I own all the Scream movies, so I was watching them. I was making my roommate watch them with me. And the first Scream is great. And I think a lot of people forget about that because it's been so heavily parodied over the years. But it's just the whole... I actually really like the franchise as a whole, but they're not great movies. But like
I don't know. I started laughing at just... I started thinking about that movie.
Scream. It's okay.
Just in general.
I thought you were making fun of me for like...
I started thinking of like just David Arquette and how like how brain dead he is.
Doesn't really hold up. Like that is the thing that like...
He's like, was it is he trying to be this dumb? Like,
was it Not Another Teen? Or I Know What You Did? Whatever, when they like made fun of it. I don't know if it was a scary movie, but it was the other one. Where they like made him doofy and made him a retard. He's borderline autistic in that movie.
If you're like, it's so like funny because
it's
like
choice.
He could almost be playing it straight, but I don't really know.
Like that scene where he's talking to Rose McGowan and he's like, "What did Mom tell you? When I'm in this uniform, you treat me like a man of the law." And it's like, oh my god, oh, it's so bad. But that doesn't really hold up. But it's a really good movie, very meta, and
Neve Campbell. That's like prime.
Yeah,
she's
pretty much because she just didn't really do much else after that.
How about the open of that the opener for that movie?
Iconic.
Killing off Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, that's like that's iconic classic. I mean, when everyone thought she was going to be a star, very Psycho-esque.
She's on the poster.
Yeah. And she was in all the trailers.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, she's Drew. Like, she's a big star. And they fucking kill her off right away. It's like, that's balls, man. And Wes Craven, obviously, is an all-timer. RIP. Actually, 2 years ago when he died, I didn't know he had passed, but it was like some random night, and I was like, I kind of feel like watching Scream, so I watched Scream, and I found out he died that night. I was like, he was probably his ghost telling me to watch it. But no, it's really good. Scream 2 is okay. Scream 3 I just watched again. Yeah, no fucking sucks. But I'm about to... The last one we have left is Scream 4, and I actually really like Scream 4. For me, it goes Scream 4, and then 2, 3.
So yeah, I like that. I like that.
I don't know if you've ever seen any of them, but...
I've like seen them, but this is classic in the zone of like after the first one,
it's just
like,
a haze.
Yeah, I start getting a little woozy. I'm like, man, I don't think you should have stabbed me that hard, man. Like, didn't have to go that deep.
Don't hit me with the phone, dick. Oh, it's so good.
I start feeling a little woozy after the first one. I started losing a lot of blood. But
I feel a little woozy here.
Yeah.
And discount Johnny Depp. That dude looks so much like young Johnny Depp. Not him, the other guy. Of the two people. But, yeah, so those are great. But, yeah, Halloween is just a magical time, man. Oh, you know what I was thinking about watching this year was, drum roll.
Am I supposed to guess?
Sure. If you want to.
It's a category movie.
Horror.
Is that the...
That's the
movie?
category. No, that's the category. It's horror.
That's the movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know.
Give me one guess.
What
if I give you like a decade? Nope.
Still, who?
70s.
70s. Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
You are correct.
Hey!
Give it up.
I was
That's
between
good.
that and like some other like really like lesser versions of that. I was like, Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah. I've heard The Last House on the Left is actually really fucked up, but I've never seen it.
I mean,
OG Wes Craven.
You know, it's some people just decide to do some raping and
yeah, classic. Hijinks ensue. Yeah, I've told you this, but the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1974, Tobe Hooper. We've talked about it before. That movie fucking gets to me, man. It is frightening. Like, you wouldn't think some of those older ones don't really hold up, but like that one is like, wow, that's so scary.
That one's
like, ugh.
Yeah,
it gets in deep.
Literally looks like it's shot through, the filter of a grimy, oily shop rag.
Yeah,
like just
it really puts you there.
Just really.
I just imagine that's
need to
what
take a shower.
The 70s looked like at that time. It also has.
Thank God that's not your. It's not your generation.
Right. Thank God. I just love texting and instant messaging, but it features one of my favorite. Well, not favorite, but like when I saw it, I noticed it subsequently in later horror films. But like the kind of like what The Witch did, where you think it ends. There's that one part where like you think
it's a fade out.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a fade out, but like you think she's good. Like a bunch of bad shit happens, and you're like, oh, thank God, like. She's at safety, she found someone and she's safe, and not the case. And then, you find out that it's not. But, like, for some reason that really works because it's like, oh shit, finally. And then, like, no, there's no hope. Kind of like, yeah, when you're like, okay, good, it's over. And then, nope, it's not. But are there any other ones that you try and hook up? Is there any Halloween traditions that you do outside of like movies? Is there anything you try to do?
I just watched. Well, I mean, like I realized when I went to college, I was like, wow, Halloween's pretty cool. You have like women kind of just
scantily
openly objected themselves, and I'm like,
that's all they. Yeah, they're just like Mean Girls hit it exactly right.
Outrage culture alert.
Do we have a thing for that?
Outrage. Yep. Sound the alarm. Sound the alarm. But it's true. And then, like, I think everyone enjoys it. Like, guys and girls.
Yeah.
It's fun.
No, it's the
Halloween
one night a
parties are
year where
fun.
they're like, hey, I get to just be fucking sexy and drink. You're like,
There we go.
Yeah.
Enough said.
enough said right there. Yeah. Everybody has fun. Like,
Yeah.
is there raping that happens? Probably. Did they ask for it? Absolutely. But that's not what we're talking about. Just kidding.
Our 1 in 8
JK.
rapes, probably Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know?
I mean, it's the evidence is mounting.
Hey, they went to his hotel room, so they were clearly asking for it, you know?
Ooh, that's an outrage police con.
Get it going. Everybody get out of here. Sorry. I formally apologize for the joke I just made there. Harvey,
Too soon.
I'm sorry.
Too soon.
I'm not really that sorry, but yeah, it is fun. I'm super psyched for my party. We're doing Jungle Juice again this year. Is there an alarm for that? I don't think we do.
We don't know that.
No Jungle Juice alarm. Nothing. Sorry. Yeah, and then like I got my fucking costume picked out. It's gonna be pretty cool. Last year I was John Belushi from Animal House, Bluto, and nobody knew that costume. I mean, obviously the sweatshirt's iconic, but like I had to show them a picture of him, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that does look like." I was like, "Yeah, I know it does."
Yeah. That should be like a.
Yeah, everyone
have to
should
leave.
get it. Only one person knew it, and that's Cole Atchison. Shout out, he was here. He
Friend
knew
of the
it.
pod.
Friend of the pod. He was on the Mafia episode. He knew for being a youngster. He's younger than me.
I noticed.
I mean, I noticed.
I
but-
noticed. But
yeah, so I'm pretty pumped for that.
Any kind of left field recommendations? Maybe movies people haven't seen. Halloween, check it out.
Well, if you want to get spooks, there's one movie that you and I saw that really just chilled me to the bone. One that got in deep that like I
Burrowed in there.
that I wasn't. It's definitely one in the category that we haven't thought of a genre name for.
Right.
Of those
the
great
ongoing
movies
list of great movies that you
that
never
are-
recommend to someone.
right, that are super dark
Yeah.
that you wouldn't necessarily recommend.
They're like the least
I
rewatchable.
think didn't I text you a while ago asking about like a
We're
name?
still working. It's a functioning title.
I don't think you ever said anything, so it must not have been that good.
Yeah. Well.
But the movie that you told me to watch was A Dark Song.
Oh, forgot about that one.
You already forgot about it?
No, I just
Oh,
like
you
I think
just
my
forgot.
brain kind of like tried to PTSD it out of
Yeah.
out of my head.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, it is rough.
Yeah, that one's a good one. A Dark Song. I saw a movie earlier this year that I really, really enjoyed. It was a movie called Raw. It's a little French cannibal coming of age movie.
Yeah, it's on Netflix now, right?
Yeah.
So is
Highly
A Dark
recommend.
Song.
Yep. So Dark Song, Raw, both very good. I guess like the whole like I don't know, you could really you can go down a rabbit hole with like the French New Extremity
Yeah,
subgenre, which I'm not really a fan of. And I'm like I don't even really like to say that I've seen some stuff. Like it's like
yeah, I know.
you get into like Martyrs and
Yeah.
gosh, there's another
It's
one
probably
that
like
was
something about bagels and
the
shit.
Switchblade romance movie.
What?
I can't think of the English title. That's like the English
Oh, the translation.
Yeah.
Wow.
I
mean, that sounds like a good one.
There's a but yeah. Did I send you there? I saw a good list online of some good.
Yeah, you
Foreign
did,
language
but
ones,
I looked at it and immediately closed my phone. Top 20, what was it? Like 24. Well, because I saw A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, and that was one that you hyped up and had me watch, and I was like, pretty mass sauce on that.
Yeah,
That's a hot take. Do you want to talk about that? Girl
you're
Walks...
fine.
No, it's fine.
You're fine.
Well,
You're fine. You know what? Hey, you don't like what's her name? Lily Amour. Same director as your other favorite movie, The Bad Batch. Also
God.
directed by.
Oh my god! I still have to finish that before we can talk about it.
Yeah, another cannibal movie.
Another, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, uh-huh.
I typically get all the cannibal goes through me.
Yeah. You know, there's one I wanted to talk to you about. I might as well bring it up now. Oh, well, we could. Whatever.
Time?
We have time. A genre. It's not really a genre, but it's more of like a trope, I guess you would say, of movies that I've noticed, like in a lot of, well, in a couple of my like favorite movies, is kind of like, I don't know what you would call it. I guess the closest thing would be like a reluctant hero, but that's not 100% accurate. It's just like, when you're just like, when the movie's just following a person. It's not like flashbacks. It's just a dude, and he's on the run.
Following a person.
It's following a person. I don't know what that would be.
It's like Jessica Biel in the
right.
first Chainsaw remake.
Yeah,
She's just following her.
Following her.
Don't know what she's doing. She has no
her.
plan. We're just following her.
Just
the cameras.
Following one character the whole time.
Yeah, just Jessica Biel.
Look, there she is.
Yeah.
She turned the corner. Yeah. Look, oh my god.
She's going back in the house. Okay,
check out her ass.
I solved it.
Good. All right, I'm glad we got that taken care of. But just a person who's kind of like just thrust into a situation, and it's not like an overarching thing, but it's how they deal with it. Like No Country for Old Men, Josh Brolin's character. He's just some guy who just finds, like, that's probably the best example of it. He just fucking finds that briefcase full of money and just decides to, like, evade people. And the reason he is successful at it for a while is because they're like, who the fuck is this person? You know, like, where are you coming from? I really resonate with that somehow. Like, I don't know, just like coming out of nowhere. I had that feeling with Good Time earlier this year, that movie that I saw.
Yeah.
Fucking great. That had that feel where he's like just a guy who's just all of a sudden in this situation and has to like try and figure it out and just go through it. But it doesn't like cut away and do other shit, you know what I mean? Drive is like that in a way, you know, like, I don't know, you know what I'm talking about though? It's kind of hard to
No, I'm sticking with Jessica Biel. Like, she just
still the best example.
Flat tire. Now she's in it.
Now she's in it. Here we go. Buckle up.
What are you gonna do?
Like, it's not like, you know, Jack and Jill. You know, it's Adam Sandler. His sister comes in. Now you're in it. There you go. What's gonna happen?
What happens?
What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? Fuck. You know, that was more well thought out in my head before I said it, but happens sometimes. But I guess we kind of brought up it a little bit. Do you want to talk about that? I have a point I wanted to bring up to you, get your thoughts on about that. I
guess we haven't talked about it yet.
We haven't. No. When they announced they're making an It remake, my initial reaction, that shit's gonna probably suck. The original It, not that great. And then, you know, the first like production pictures came out, and Pennywise like, nah, I'm not really feeling it. And then the first trailer came out, and you're like, okay. But then there were parts of it you're like, yeah, it's probably still gonna suck. And then it was getting pretty good reviews, and I was trying to stay away from them because I was like, I'll probably see it. But then I was like, still, there's a good chance it's gonna suck. And then I saw it and was very pleasantly surprised. I was like, wow, that was actually a good movie. Like, they didn't rely on what I thought they were going to. It's still a bit gimmicky, but, you know, and there were parts of it I didn't really like. But for the most part, I was like, wow, that's actually a really well-made movie, and I cared a lot. I think this is one that all of a sudden became sort of manufactured iconography, where, like, Pennywise has always been a staple of pop culture, but then this was all of a sudden like
kind of like,
I mean, I feel like he's never gone away.
Yeah.
You know? Like, he never just like, hey, remember Pennywise? And everybody's like, oh yeah, I feel like he was always just like around.
Right.
Is what I mean.
I almost think like the meme is more famous than the original movie. Like,
right.
Prior to like knowledge
not
of
the movie,
a remake.
but like
yeah. Just like
the character and the meme for sure.
Yeah, I think there's a couple. I thought it was like a perfect storm because you have one, like, I think it needs to write a giant check to Stranger Things.
Yep.
Because Stranger Things is like a thing that everyone watched.
Yep.
It's, basically just all, nostalgia fueled.
Yeah.
It has this, like, perfect premise. Like, it's basically like you could just, like, throw this in as an episode of Stranger Things, as like a 3, episode arc of it. Has one of the Stranger Thing kids in it.
One of the Stranger kids.
One of the Stranger kids
of the Stranger Things kids.
So I thought that it had that going for it, which was huge. It had like the whole weird, random like clown thing that just kind of popped up out of nowhere, like that Wisconsin
the
clown
real
that
life
was just
clown
like
shit, like
and
then it became like a worldwide thing.
Yeah, and there was
people
like
dressing up as
clowns
scaring people,
and so you have that. So that's like kind of like in people's
in the zeitgeist,
and I don't know. I think it just kind of worked, and then obviously like I think the trailer just showing like basically the whole Georgie scene, which is the best scene from the original and probably like the only watchable scene
pretty much.
So
hiya, Georgie.
Yeah, it's good.
Thanks, man.
No, I was talking about the movie.
Oh,
no, I'm just kidding.
Well, either way, I'll take it.
Now you have to sit and wonder.
What did he mean by that? Yeah, but I feel like this is probably one that people are probably going to end up hating. Because, not hating, but like, it's going to become overrated for a lot of people, where they're like, because like, I was surprised at how good of a movie it was, and I was like, wow, that was really well made, well paced, the acting was really good, the story was good, I was like, oh wow, and then that oh wow becomes like, people are like, it's amazing, you have to see it, it's so good, and then people see it and they're like, that wasn't even fucking scary, bro, plebs again, thank you for showing up.
Yeah.
But, I feel like that might be one that suffers from that going forward. But also Stranger Things, I wanted to say, like, that was one too where it's like, it's actually like really good, and I feel like a lot of people wouldn't give it the shot because now it's easy to just say, not that you're right, there's a lot of nostalgia in it, but it doesn't lean away from it. It's just like definitely heavy pushing the nostalgia, which is good because otherwise I think it would be easier to hate for people. But like literally, like the Blu-ray just came out, the Target exclusive Blu-ray, and it's fucking in a VHS case for the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Like they're just really doubling down on the nostalgia, which is fine. But I think that's the main criticism people have is like, oh, it's just nostalgia porn, doesn't do anything. It's like, well, it's both. Like it's nostalgia porn, but it's really good. Like, it could just be nostalgia porn and be shit, but it's actually really good, and I feel like a lot of people aren't giving it its fair shake, just, like, writing it off as just like, oh, well, other people did it. Well, it's like, well, still, it's not easy to just make it good.
There's a difference when you're drawing from things that were, like, actually, really good in their time, and, like, I think we made this point, too, with, like, it's nostalgic, but, like, not a whole lot of people saw the original, and the original wasn't very good. So it's just like people are like manufacturing this feeling, or be like, "Oh my gosh, like remember?" Like it's like, well, it's fine.
You remember it? Remember?
Yeah, the memorabilia's they're right on there.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
But thanks for checking us out today. Let us know what Halloween traditions you have, what movies you're looking forward to, and that open invite's still out there. Hit me up on Twitter if you're going to show up to my house. We need directions at LukeLarson89, podcast at L2Pod, on Twitter, Facebook, we're on SoundCloud, YouTube. Old Legs, you want to be found?
Shit, no, I don't want no, like, home invasion. That's what that's what your Halloween party's going to turn into.
Married Tyler Moore, man. Get us in here. I don't have a treadmill, but I have an exercise bike. But, alright, keep it extra spooky for us.
Peace!